There's Phil, and that's me on the left. On one level or another, I was always aware of his big brother presence. There's Dad. He taught us to always stick up for each other, even if our brother was wrong. He'd say we could sort that out later. Dad was a football player, and good enough to make the all-New York City team. He won a full scholarship to Holy Cross College, and in those days that was big-time football. That's him celebrating the famous Boston College upset in 1942. It was too bad World War II interrupted his football career, but he always gave Holy Cross credit for honoring his scholarship. There's the beautiful woman that Dad got to marry him, and my mother, the former Miss Margaret Duffy of the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn. Both Mom and Dad's fathers died young, which left them to live out the Depression without anything resembling a social safety net. That's until this guy came along. FDR gave people like my parents hope and was responsible for them becoming Democrats. Me too, probably. We were still living in Grandma's house in Brooklyn when Matt was born, and by the time George came along, we had moved to a small apartment on Nostrand Avenue. Dad worked for the Equitable Life Insurance Company by day and attended St. John's Law School at night. In 1957, he passed the bar. He wanted to practice law, but didn't have enough money to strike out on his own. He got the feeling the big corporations wanted younger guys, and unfortunately, the bills were starting to pile up. He didn't want to, but he took a teaching position on Long Island in the then blue-collar community of Farmingdale, which is part of Nassau County. There's the old Main Street school where Dad taught, and where I attended the first grade. We rented a house from a guy who owned a local barber shop. It had a yard and lots of different kinds of trees, and I loved it there. Mom and Dad saved enough money to buy a house, and though they looked in Farmingdale, for reasons I'm still uncertain of, in 1959 they settled on this place, in the strange-sounding hamlet of Islip, Long Island, New York. The price? $12,690. I'm not sure if Dad knew it, but he was moving the family into one of the most solidly Republican areas in the state of New York. Islip was part of Suffolk County, which until very recently had been run by Kingsland Macy, aka the Little King of Suffolk, Little Republican King. Islip was a well-run political machine, fueled by plenty of patronage and favoritism. If you wanted something in Islip, you had to be a Republican. But Dad wasn't the kind of guy to change his ideals for expediency's sake. He was a Democrat, and a Democrat he would stay. In 1962, Margaret and Michael were born. By then, Dad had gotten involved in the Democratic Committee. When we were little, Dad encouraged us to work on the political campaigns. They would have been a lot more fun if the Republicans hadn't beaten us all the time. Phil was the first of us to seek public office, and from the very start they were family affairs. In 1977, he ran for the county legislature, and though he probably knocked on every door in the district, he was narrowly defeated by Republican Mike Grant, a local tavern owner. In 1979, he made his first run for the Islip Town Supervisor against Republican Mike LeGrande. He went down pretty much in line with voter registrations, which were 60-40 in favor of the Republicans. In 1981, he made another run at the legislature. Mike Grant had done something to offend the machine, who withheld its endorsement. Instead, it went to another local bar owner, Peter McGowan. Grant stayed in the race, which diluted the Republican vote. Phil worked hard again, and this time he was the winner. In 1983, the Republican machine ran Richard DeBraga against Phil. Though they did their best to slander him, Phil easily beat him. In 1985, he won again, garnering 62% of the vote. It was no doubt Phil's political star was rising. In 1987, public displeasure over Republican shenanigans made the Islip Town Supervisor's race look winnable. Phil's opponent would be Frank Jones. There's our caricature of him wasting taxpayers' money. Though creaky, the machine functioned well enough for him to win, though just barely. Phil decided to try a rematch in 1989, but that was the year that all Democrats suffered for a tax increase pushed through by a Democrat at the county level. Phil was beaten again. It was also the year that Pam Green won the Islip Town clerk's position. We would not hear the last of her, nor her of us. In 1993, the once vanquished Pete McGowan is installed by the Republicans as Islip Town Supervisor. Going along with Newt Gingrich's contract with America, Pete supports his call for term limits. A referendum is posted and becomes law in Islip. Phil doesn't seek office again until 1997 and goes for his old seat in the legislature. McGowan has become Islip's Republican kingmaker, and his defeat at Phil's hands isn't forgotten. He doesn't want to see Phil resurrected and handpicks Cameron Alden to run against him. They spent $250,000 against Phil's 50, and it's enough to beat him by a slim 400 votes. The loss is terribly painful for Phil, our family, and his supporters. I was sure he would never again seek public office, and secretly hoped he wouldn't. McGowan runs the Islip Republican machine like it's his own private fiefdom, which it is. He doles out favors and jobs. Pete holds the line on taxes and is easily re-elected. His campaign fund totals over $1 million, which he doles out to town board members that do his bidding. Among the lucky beneficiaries? Pam Green, who has moved up to a town council seat. But the old term limit red herring has been making its 12-year swim upstream, and if something doesn't change fast, the term Pete starts in 2004 will be his last. From some deep and murky region of the Republican machine comes a proposed change in the town law that would allow an increase in the term limit from 3 to 4, and it would only require a vote by the town council. Pete says he has nothing to do with it, but town council candidates running in 2005 get the message that they will lose machine support if they don't get behind the extension. Long-standing Republican board member Chris Botkin is faced with this choice, and he refuses to go along. As expected, the Republican machine endorses another candidate, but with Pam Green's support, Botkin mounts a primary. To run with him, he selects Steve Flotteren. If they win, McGowan's reign will be over in 2008, which would clear the way for somebody else to run for supervisor. When the votes are counted, Flotteren and Bodkin win. Meanwhile, a scandal grows at Islip MacArthur Airport. There are questions about its management and the handling of a botched construction project. The issues smolder, but they don't look like they'll bring McGowan down. But then, seemingly out of nowhere comes an astounding development. Peter McGowan is indicted for spending his $1 million war chest on himself for fancy dinners and other expensive luxuries. It just doesn't figure. Pete has always had plenty of money, but the Suffolk County DA seems to have the goods on him, and by March 9th, 2006, Pete cops a plea and heads off to spend 60 days in jail. By town statute, an election must be held for the unexpired portion of Pete's term, which is only about a year. Phil Nolan senses an opportunity. This would be his 4th go at supervisor. As many suspected, Pam Green announces her candidacy, but her support of Botkin and Flotteren costs her the party endorsement. Instead, well-respected Tom Barraga is given the nod. In the old days, this would have spelled Pam's political demise. But the party is weak enough for her to have a chance in a primary, and she goes for it. Rechristening herself the Reform candidate, she claims to have fought against the very Republican machine that had created her 14 years earlier. It's rumored that not supporting Pam is a bad career move, to which acting town supervisor Jeanette Messina can attest. After she supported Tom Barraga, Pam introduces a resolution that she be replaced, and as if zapped by Darth Vader, Messina is gone. When I hear that Phil is considering another run, I discourage him. It had always been impossible to beat the powerful Islip Republicans, I remind him. How many defeats can we take? I'm the only Nolan that isn't familiar with all that has gone on in Islip, and I don't know that Phil just might have a chance to win this time. On May 5th, 2006, the Nolan family gathers at my sister Margaret's house to celebrate my father's birthday. By this time, it looks like Phil is committed to making the race. This campaign might be the last one with all of us along for the ride, and I offer to document the contest.
Oh, he has to make the first cut.
Okay, I'll take it away and I'll bring it back.
Do it right here.
That has to make the first cut.
Debbie did.
Oh, we did? All right.
Opinions of his chances are offered.
It's actually promising.
Yeah.
I think he stands the best chance that Democrats have had in how many years, George?
20 years.
20 years.
What do you think of Phil's upcoming race?
He may win.
You said he was going to win.
I say it could be.
So what do you think of Phil running?
I don't know. Well, he almost won one time, remember?
Oh, I know.
Very close. Right, Phil? What do you think, Joe?
I hope he does.
But he says if he doesn't, it won't upset him too much. He just wants to do this.
A lot of people don't like him. I don't know why.
But
No, really, he really has a lot of enemies.
DeVincent is going to really give up his job.
didn't he work with on the legislative campaign?
He's good. He's good. He knows his stuff.
You gotta raise money, you gotta get on TV.
Well, I'm going to give him 1,000.
Oh, yeah, it's a terrible big race to run.
They're gonna spend a lot of money to beat him, just like that's how they beat him last time. They spent the $500,000.
No,
Right?
again, not this time.
They're not gonna have it?
They lost prestige.
Who did?
The Republicans.
I capture Mom giving Dad the evil eye, his offense unseen. Strategy for the race is still being developed.
And Pam Green cannot portray herself as an outsider.
Gotta tie Green to McGowan.
You want to run against, you don't want to run against him, I don't think. You want to run against the one party
Yeah.
and the inevitable bad stuff that happens.
By the time Dad's boys' high school reunion rolls around in June, Phil is feeling pretty good about the way the race is shaping up.
It's going to be what the campaign comes down to. I mean, they're trying to pretend they're newcomers. One guy's been around for three decades. The other one's been around for a decade and a half.
Come on.
Come on. It's laughable.
Yeah.
My brother George gives his assessment of Phil's chances against Green or Barraga.
Republicans have they're both formidable. She's been a councilwoman for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
So she's got a majority on the board, is going to have a majority on the board even if she loses the election.
Green's behavior is particularly interesting.
Firing people, they've been ruthless. Telling them, you don't come along, you're going to lose your job. We just found out, like, the union represents town workers is going with her. And Barraga's been an assemblyman, he's held office for 30 years. She's very well known down the west end part of the town. It's a battle. They're fighting like cats and dogs. So while they're doing that, we got to put our stuff together. We got to convince people you can win.
Like Mom said, Joe DeVincent signs on as campaign manager. Initially, we set up shop at DC 9, the Painters and Allied Trades Union. New York is one of 2 states that allows political parties to form and either run its own candidates or endorse somebody else's. This always drove Dad nuts. He believed that it was fine if you wanted to start your own political party, but if you did, you had to have your own candidates. He pursued this as a cause, but could never get anyone interested enough to help him try to change it. The Republicans would certainly get the conservative endorsement, and most likely the independents. To keep from getting lost on the ballot, we had to get at least one additional line. The Working Families Party was our best shot, but we'll have to run a primary against Tom Barraga. Joe's developed a strategy on how to beat him, and the attack includes muffins.
Sometime before 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to hang a big card with a ballot. And how is the person going to get from the house to the car? And you're going to hang it somewhere so they're going to see something nice and big, because it's not only going to have a card this big, but we're going to staple some muffins to it.
We pulled this shit last year and they won the election. I said the figures that
45
to 7 they won. So
In a primary wrace where only 100 votes are cast, the campaigning is up close and personal.
at 5 o'clock, you go to the polling place and you ask the Democratic inspector to see her list of voters. And you look for your targets.
The Nolan family has experience running these kinds of campaigns.
Now, this is not dissimilar to these, when we had these town primaries in the Democratic Party. We were usually successful in those things by just getting every single vote out of our own base. The 5 EDs around my father's house, that's where it always happened.
Dad could always be counted on to run headquarters, but not this year. Health problems would sideline him for the entire election. Still at the Union Hall, Joe tells us about the new Brentwood headquarters.
Our Brentwood headquarters is now functional. I didn't call this meeting there because I wasn't sure whether the phones were going to be in. We had 4 phones, we had a television hookup, we had a high-speed computer hookup, but it's at 660 Suffolk Avenue. It goes over the tracks, is sort of the corner. The big focus will be on the Democratic base. Our people are the ones that have been staying home in town election.
What gets people to come out and vote? They think there's something at stake. We're going to do a lot with get out and vote. We're going to media house, but frankly, and Debbie, I think Debbie would agree with me. She's not listening, she's talking to Renee. I just wanted to hear this, but she's continuing to talk. That little comment. Anyway, we wind up with 80,000 turnout. Did that.
We're sending out about 1,000 invitations. Phil's list, and then the Democratic Committee people in Islip. People have contributed to McGowan in the past.
What's the thinking about the McGowan contributors list?
That we can peel some of them off.
A big part of the grunt work and the fun is stuffing envelopes.
I can talk all day long and not say a single thing. Whoa! Wilson always comes back. Alex said to me, he goes, "Do you and Phil always talk to each other like that?" For 20 years. The hands aren't moving.
I've known Bill Nolan. His wife was my teacher for many years.
Put it this way, it's time for a change. The man for the job.
When the votes are counted, the muffins have done the trick. We win. The Republican primary is tighter. On Election Day, Barriga is behind Green by a handful of votes. Tom refuses to concede until the absentee ballots are counted, but when they are, Pam's gambit has paid off. She will be the Republican candidate. But Tom is still on the ballot, having won the tax relief and integrity party lines. What nobody knows is, will he campaign? And if so, how hard? After spending 2 weeks at the Union Hall, on August 26th, we move up to our Brentwood headquarters. It's the first time a town-wide race is stationed in this heavily Hispanic area.
I think it was a stationery store, but before that it was some sort of insurance outfit.
Joe shares his take on our chances of winning.
This time it's the Republicans that are discouraged. They don't have a statewide ticket. They don't even know who their candidates are for statewide office. Their supervisor went to jail. There have been 15 Newsday front pages on how the town's major asset, MacArthur Airport, has been screwed up. And the demographics of Islip have changed a great deal. It's far more a Democratic demographic than ever before. John Kerry carried this town. That's the big difference. This isn't like any town election we've ever had before. The Republicans are at each other's throats. Phil is finally going to have a fair fight in a townwide race, and he's going to win. We have a winning message. We have a winning candidate. He's been trying to do this for 30 years. He's going to be a good supervisor. His goal as supervisor is going to be to leave a legacy here, and he's going to do that.
Pam's campaign takes up residence in a paint and decorating store over in Sayville. She'll often refer to her humble paint store headquarters to stress her status as the beleaguered Republican outsider. Seemingly, the first thing she does as a candidate is swear off putting green signs on telephone poles. The Suffolk County News shows that the pledge does not extend to trees. The Nolan team intends to run the most aggressive sign campaign it has ever conducted.
The difference between our road sign and the green lawn sign is that ours,
Say Nolan.
is nice and clear. Dark blue, Nolan, short name.
Kirk Cronk is in charge of getting our signs
We're
located.
going to have a lot of lawn signs. We're going to need different people in different areas of the town to help get out those lawn signs. Okay, so if you know of any locations, start emailing them in to me. You need to get on top of that right away. I mean, you know, blink and it'll be October. Blink twice more and it'll be election day. This is how fast these things move. You think you have time, you think we have a month and a half. It'll be gone before you know it.
Everybody loves working on the sign crews.
Hey guys, come on, make like, you know, working on the railroad. And we got a documented record here that the crew actually did work. Tammy's like a sign idiot savant. That's sort of like a really
next time I'll bring my own
sign
stuff.
idiot savant. I don't know. So where you guys going? Come on, we gotta take a pose by the sign for Joe. Come on, boys. Okay, guys, you're the best sign crew ever.
This will be the first campaign where we'll be able to hire a professional media company.
Plus, we got the CBC Media working with us. They're doing all our media. They're going to do our direct mail. They're going to do our radio, our TV, and that'll ensure that we have the consistency of message. You know, and they have a good reputation. So, you know, I'm hopeful that they're going to really give me a top-notch product for a real good price.
Monday, the television campaign is launched. This is a very extensive buy. Anybody who tunes at all into cable is going to see Phil Nolan. Each spot will be seen, on average, 4 times by every resident of the town of Islip. And the message is, you got to vote this year, or the chance of things changing are nil.
I'm Phil Nolan. Islip is a great town, but it can be even better. Keeping property taxes low is my highest priority. In fact, as a county legislator, I enacted the largest tax cut in Suffolk County's history. Together, we can improve our parks and roads, do more to protect the environment, and make our airport a safe and profitable town resource. I love this town, and I'm committed to making Islip the best that it can be.
Phil Nolan for Town Supervisor. A clean break for Islip.
And I went up there, and he's away right now. And his secretary, his aide, and one of his supporters was there. They are not going to Green. I mean, now, of course, those are real hardcore Barraga supporters. We're hoping Barraga stays in the race and has a lot to say. In the worst case scenario, he disappears. He's still on the ballot. The Republican Party's base vote split right down the middle. The absolute split is exactly what we wanted. The bottom line is there's 15,000 Republican votes in this town as of Tuesday who are not with her.
35 years of Republican rule in the town of Islip has led to criminal investigations, indictments, and convictions. The corruption at MacArthur Airport is a costly embarrassment. No-bid contracts and sweetheart deals have denied Islip taxpayers a fair share of the proceeds. Accountability and responsibility must be restored. It's time to take our town back and end the era of one-party Republican rule.
I went to the beach club a couple of weeks ago, and I know all these people for years, but most of them never voted for me. During the night, 10 people came over to me to tell me they're voting for me. They're all Republicans. And it was nothing to do with me. It was all about, I've had it with these guys.
I know.
And that's trouble.
Enough is enough.
But in terms of the negative on Green, I think the most important thing is what Felicia told us at the very beginning of this campaign, almost the first session we were here, is that she has not introduced a resolution in the whole time. We have to challenge her on that.
We need to rip that cloak of reform off of that woman's back. Attacking or challenging a record, how is that a personal attack?
It isn't.
And
you foil on Monday morning, would you go down and foil all resolutions over the last 13 years sponsored by Councilwoman Pamela Green?
Well, since 2000, and there were none.
She may have sponsored some things in the last couple of months when there was no supervisor.
Only now that she's running for supervisor, now she sponsors resolutions.
After 14 years. It wouldn't surprise me that very shortly they start attacking Phil Nolan, especially after they start seeing the television.
McGowan and Green, the same old machine.
When the Friends of Pete McGowan spent over $68,000 on her re-election,
Pamela Green was there.
When McGowan pleads guilty to 3 felonies,
Pamela Green was there.
When sweetheart deals at MacArthur Airport cost taxpayers millions of dollars,
Pamela Green was there.
When asked why she didn't challenge McGowan, she said she feared political consequences.
This special election, Pamela Green doesn't need to be there. Phil Nolan, Democrat. A clean break for Islip.
After several false starts, it now looks like gubernatorial candidate Elliot Spitzer will hold a rally in Islip, not far from our Brentwood headquarters.
And going to the primary day to Buffalo, he's going to highlight Phil Nolan. We're going to have posters printed that say, Spitzer for governor, Nolan for Islip supervisor, 2006.
Phil's brother?
You guys are doing the Nolan film crew?
The bus will probably pull in about 1:15.
They'll be here for about an hour.
So great.
I love that FBI look.
Our excellent buddy from Nassau County.
Please shake hands like as if you know each other.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, we gotta win! The next supervisor of the town of Islip, Phil Nolan. What a great day to be a Democrat in Suffolk County and Islip Township. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce David Patterson, the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York.
We can lower property taxes. We can increase funding for education and lower class sizes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is a microcosm of America right here in Brentwood.
Thank you all. Some of you know that I have a hat collection in my Albany office. Now, usually they're baseball caps. This one is probably going to be more useful when we get to Albany on January 1st. We need to send a message that governance, as usual, is over.
Phil looks pretty good, though on the blogs there were several comparisons made to how Forrest Gump had a knack for showing up with famous people.
It's going to get better and better, and January 1st, we go to work. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Our media guru does everything he can to get film of Spitzer and Phil together, but it's not meant to be. He settles for some stills, which he puts to pretty good use on a mailer.
One more time.
All right, guys. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, we're at it.
Everybody knows that Elliot is going to be the next governor, and it was pretty cool having him come to Brentwood. Starting in September, Phil begins his foot campaigning.
Where am I walking? Anybody directing me, or can I go wherever I feel like? You're going to go in your own legislative district until a week later when you start being better known outside.
This kind of approach has largely been replaced by television, but there's still no substitute for meeting voters face to face.
Well, good luck, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. I'm Larry Haven. No, but you're going to get a lot more votes than people expect.
I'm going to win.
You're going to win?
Yeah, I'm going to win. No, you can bet on it. I'm going to win.
In such a venue, we get exposure to all kinds of diverse opinions.
She's going to get the woman's vote, but she is a Republican. And I think people are tired of the war party Republicans, and they're going to go with they're just going to vote for anything that's a Democrat. Nice meeting you.
Look at my credentials. And
I will. Sure has.
Cleaned
it all up. Tell
me
before Yeah?
I keep telling people if you like what's going on, then you shouldn't vote for me.
On Sunday mornings, we're either at a bakery or bagel shop. Stanley's in East Islip is one of our favorites.
Good morning. I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for town supervisor. Oh, listen, let me get back to work.
Frugal.
Talk me up. Yeah, go. Parents.
Good.
Are they still over in Sid Farber?
Yep.
What's your address? Timber Point Road. Ooh.
Over there.
Ooh. I thank you for your support.
Good morning, sir. I'd like you to meet Phil Nolan. He's running for Islip Town Supervisor.
How are you? It's nice to meet you. Can I leave you with that?
Okay, sure.
Can I put a lawn sign on your front lawn?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Where do you live? How's Howard doing?
Phil knows lots of people and forgets few of them.
Did I pick up papers with you and Hector 35 years ago, or your brother?
In late September, my sister Margaret and Phil and Lisa's longtime friends Mark and Bonnie Bazinski hold a fundraiser for Phil in their backyard. My mom is there, but Dad's not up to it.
Margaret and Meg Hollowell and John Hollowell live right across the street from us, great neighbors and great friends as well. And we wanted to spend just a moment to have Margaret or Meg come on up because she wants to say something for her brother.
First of all, we just want to thank everyone for coming. You'll all know how very well qualified Phil is. But the one thing that I thought might not be too easy to transmit, and the one thing that I can really speak about, is Phil's heart. Phil is the oldest of 6, and I am the youngest, tied with my twin brother Michael. And Michael is autistic. Profoundly.
Michael's tragic malady is a sad mystery the entire family has learned to deal with.
When I was about 7 or 8, I remember going to Phil and asking and saying to Phil, "I'm mad at God." And Phil said, "Why?" And I said, "I'm mad at God because he made Michael the way he is. Why did he have to do that?" And I remember him pausing for a minute and then responding with, "Well, I think he made Michael the way he is so that we could all be really good to Michael and show God how good we are as people." And that did it for me. That was the right answer. And it affected me my whole life. I think that it does transmit over. That if, yes, he has the qualifications, the intelligence, he's hardworking, but he has the heart.
So let's have a big hand for Phil Nolan.
I want to thank Mark and Bonnie and Margaret and John for hosting this today. This campaign is going to come down to the fact that I think people have come to the conclusion that there's a need for a change in the town of Islip. Severe mismanagement at the airport, which is a very serious issue. I flew out of that airport as a 17-year-old off to college. My opponent has come down fully on the side of the status quo. There are some things that really are very right about Islip Town and Islip Town's government. But things that do need to be changed will be changed.
Why did you get to fly to college? I had to drive a car.
Well, you want the answer to that? I had a summer job. You didn't. Right?
I decided to stop by Mom and Dad's house to see how they're doing.
You take my picture now?
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit.
So how you been, Joey?
I've been good.
You look good.
I feel good.
Dad's doing okay, but he hasn't been himself since he had that stroke 3 years ago.
So you still think Phil's going to win this, Dad?
Oh, yeah.
Going to win?
I got to get down there.
You've always been sort of a...
do something to answer the phone.
He's frustrated that he hasn't been able to contribute to the effort. In years past, it was almost impossible to go to a Nolan headquarters and not find him there. He was good at building us up and getting us back out on the street to do more work.
How many campaigns have you worked on, do you think, Dad?
10 or 12 anyway.
At least that many, probably more.
I don't know how many.
Fine.
I don't know why I wound up this way, but I did. I didn't mean it, but
You never do you? You never do mean it. You know,
I've been in the hospital 2 or 3 times already.
I know. Sucks. The New York Times endorsement sparks a lively dialogue.
This is the start of every editorial. We're going to get every editorial. It's going to be the New York Times, it's going to be Newsday, it's going to be Suffolk Life. Everyone agrees, the whole spectrum.
I gotta tell you though, they still have in there about her being a hard worker and running a positive campaign.
That's all they say about her. Come on, it can't be 100%.
She's running a positive campaign because she can't talk about a record, and
they can't reject everything that she says.
They could.
Because where is she working hard?
She's working hard at other jobs.
You know how she works hard? She shows up at the Rotary Club, she shows up here, she does the pictures. When it comes to really taking a tough stand, she was never there. When it comes, to showing up at a meeting and saying yes and yes and yes, she's very diligent. She probably never missed a yes vote.
The big fundraiser is held over at Captain Bill's in Bay Shore. It is the most elegant and successful fundraiser we've ever had. The food was good too.
Just act natural, Lisa.
Okay, Joe. I'll act natural then.
Our usual supporters are here, but I see a lot of other people too. Word must be getting out that we might win.
This campaign is going extremely well.
Phil is starting to catch his stride, and I feel proud of him.
There's a climate out there that has been created by events. The Republican Party's been in power for 35 years unilaterally. We have malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance. It's been a year's worth of bad news in our town. All of that contributes to my being in a position to win this election on November 7th. I will give every ounce of my determination and my ability and my effort for the next 41 days so that we win the election on November 7th. Thank you very much.
We raised the money we'd hoped to and managed to have some fun along the way.
Just about make it to Queens.
I wish Dad could have made it. He'd approve. The Republicans conduct a sign raid on our headquarters.
What happened? They came and took Phil's sign down. That used to be Phil's.
Yeah, there was a
Nolan
4x8
for Supervisor.
Nolan sign. Came in this morning, the sign was down. Apparently there's a bunch of the big ones got hit. I saw about a dozen of the small lawn signs that were removed.
Yeah.
And replaced with FASO signs. So at least they left their mark. We know who did it. These are pretty expensive signs. So
How much are they?
I think it was a little over $100 a piece for the 4x8s. It's not the end of the world. We're still on TV. That's the main thing. We're in good shape, I think.
In mid-October, the town of Islip puts on the Apple Festival. Unfortunately, the Nolan campaign gets there a week early.
Where's the sign for the fair? It's right there above you. Oh. It's one week too early. It's going to happen occasionally. But we'll be back next Saturday.
And back we were. It's the kind of event that Long Islanders love. Even though Islip has grown into a town of over 200,000 people, they still long for a sense of belonging to something larger than themselves. Everything the town of Islip puts up is emblazoned with the names of the supervisor and his council. Across the top of the band shell, we see where Pete McGowan's name used to be. There's Pam's name, along with all the rest of them. Phil sees the Apple Festival as an opportunity to meet potential voters. He spends 4 or 5 hours there, but Pam's nowhere to be seen. I'm starting to wonder where she is. In late October, the South Shore Civic Alliance hosts a debate between the candidates. Finally, I get to see Pam in real life.
South Shore Civic Alliance, we'd like to welcome you to this evening's Meet Our Candidate, Islip Town Supervisor.
Thank you for caring about this year's election. I'm Pamela Green. I'm a resident of Central Islip. I am currently your Islip Town Councilwoman.
Pam's been doing this a long time, and it shows. You can see how confident she is. It's almost as if I've taken on the Islip Republican machine. I can certainly deal with Phil Nolan.
I'm very much looking forward to being your supervisor.
One of the things that I've accentuated in this campaign is my experience. I was superintendent of highways in the town of Babylon. I served in the town of Huntington, and I ran a small 16-truck municipal pickup operation.
Phil's answer to this somewhat embarrassing question is the last one I expected.
Unsuccessfully ran for supervisor in the past, as you pointed out earlier, and you're running again. I'd just like to know why the same people of Islip who may have rejected you in the past, and your candidacy in the past, should believe that this candidacy is different, and how would be so?
I'm a loser. That's obvious.
Talk about full disclosure.
I anticipated this all along. Not many people have the perseverance and commitment to make this race 4 times and turn their lives upside down 4 times. I do. And I've done it because of the issues. It's not about ego. And whether it's Democrats or Republicans, 5-0 for 35 years is not a real good idea.
Mr. Nolan and I actually first met during his 1989, your second or third election.
In other words, Phil has run for supervisor so many times, I can't even keep track of them.
My second question is, what do you feel is the greatest shortcoming of the previous administration?
Arrogance. When Frank Jones stepped down as supervisor, Pete McGowan stepped in. I supported him. At about 1995, the friction started. I was targeted for extinction from the town board from 95 every single year since.
About a week and a half ago, I was fortunate enough to receive the New York Times endorsement. At one point, a reporter asked the councilwoman, why didn't she question Pete McGowan on these issues? And her response was that she feared political consequences. When you're sworn in, there's no mention of political consequences or your political future.
Mr. Nolan's been using that quote nonstop. And I remember the exact interview because I was standing at a clam bake at the East End Republican headquarters at 6 o'clock on a Monday evening when Sandra Petty called me and said, Pam, why didn't you ask any questions about the airport? And I said, well, Sandra, what are you pointing to? What kind of liquid was going through the sprinkler system? She said, were you afraid of political consequences? And my exact quote was, Sandra, we saw what happened to Chris Bodkin now, didn't we? And that's how it got written up.
Just as I said, look what happened to Chris Bodkin is an adequate rationale.
The candidates present their closing remarks.
Appreciate you all coming out tonight. I've tried to make my candidacy as clear as I can, and I would appreciate your keeping yourselves focused on the issues as we go to Election Day, and get out there and vote regardless of who you're voting for. Thank you very much for your time.
I've said in my commercials, I believe it's about giving back, not accumulating power. Thank you very much.
At these things, the audience is almost entirely comprised of supporters.
Doctor, how are you?
It's hard to tell which of the candidates found this photo session more distasteful.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have to decide how many people we can really put together for Election Day and at what times. You know, if I only got 10 or 15 people at 5 a.m., a door hanger campaign probably is not the best use of their time. If we had 60 or 70, that would be different.
As Election Day nears, the Nolan campaign angles for every vote it can get.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is friend to friend. We're getting people who have a list of people in the town of Islip, your holiday list, just any friends that you have in Islip, and we've printed a postcard. People are going to hand address it if they have their own return thing, and we're going to mail it first class, and they'll be going out November 1st or 2nd. So we're collecting those lists now. You can address them yourselves if you want, or we can have someone hand address them here in the office.
Phil continues his grueling Meet the Voters campaign, this time at Higbee Bagel in West Islip.
Excuse me, sir? I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for Islip Town Supervisor this year. Very much. Hi. I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for Islip Town Supervisor this year. Yeah, I'm Phil Nolan. I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for Islip Town Supervisor this year.
I talked to you coming in.
You know, I thought, but you can't keep track of it all. The town board has been 5-0 Republican for 35 years. Look, I'm probably going to win. I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for Islip Town Supervisor this year.
Good.
I'm
You're
good.
working hard, eh?
Absolutely.
We run into Tom Courtney and his daughter. The Courtneys are dear friends and longtime Nolan supporters.
Oh my God, the big man's here. How are you?
Good, I was just going home.
How are you?
Hi.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
Your dad gave my daughter-in-law one of the
Kennedy Award
winners, right?
I see your mom all the time.
Yeah, I'm Phil Nolan. I'm running for Islip Town Supervisor this year.
Speaking of President Clinton, on Thursday at 2 o'clock at Babylon Town Hall, President Clinton will be doing a motivational rally.
Election Day is less than a week away, and the excitement is starting to build. I've been along with Phil in a lot of campaigns, but I've never seen people treating him just this way. They're starting to treat Phil like he's a winner.
This guy has to stay behind.
Someone thinks better of holding the rally at Babylon Town Hall and changes it to a corporate airplane hangar over in Farmingdale. I thought I'd be able to follow Phil backstage and maybe even meet the president, but the Secret Service has other ideas. I'm shunted off to the news pen and hang out with the TV crews, which was kind of fun.
All Long Island Democrats in the House! And we're going to make sure that we send all of our great Democrats here in Suffolk County on to some great victories. And we've got a great candidate running for town supervisor. We're going to elect Phil Nolan as our town supervisor.
Clinton changed Long Islanders' views of what it is to be a Democrat. Second President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton. A couple weeks ago, I said, you know, your birthday's coming up. What do you want me to do? She said, go to Long Island and get me some votes. I just want to say a few words, seriously, if I might. Something's not right in our national discourse with the way our political system has worked. As we come down to this home stretch, that New York say we're going to make a new beginning here, we're going to send a message to Washington, we want a new beginning there. We are tired of division and gridlock and ignoring our challenges. Are we going to learn to live together across all our racial and religious and other differences? Are we going to recognize that we have the same dreams for our children? Are we going to understand that the goal of the government should not be to concentrate wealth and power, but to empower people, to create a vast middle class and help people work their way from poverty into the middle class? I am sick of all this fighting. We need to lay this down. We need to have honest arguments based on a different reading of the facts so we can come to a decision that will leave people better off when we quit than when we started. That is all that matters. New York can lead the way. Thank you. God bless you.
For science to live, and there's room enough here for religion to forgive. Try to understand all the people of this land. This is our country, and it's our song. From the East Coast to the West Coast.
I've always heard how effective Clinton was in person, but after watching him, I fully understood what people were talking about. Everybody wanted to touch him, or at least make eye contact with him. But then it was back to the campaign trail. Just down the road from headquarters, Phil's supporters use a sound truck to bolster his appearance at the local pathmark.
Okay, I got you, man.
Phil Nolan ain't gonna pay for that.
No.
I'm gonna pay for mine.
Phil Nolan is going to help you to
good
make
man.
a decision
I know that.
for the best interest of Iceland.
You know,
I
it's
said,
no
I'm a full member.
Well,
Hey, Joe.
thank you guys for doing this for us. We
Joe,
appreciate
my
it.
pleasure, my pleasure.
Joe, let me give you my card so you can send me a picture.
I can't.
No brag, just fact.
The last mailing is scheduled to deliver the Saturday before election. That morning, the post office calls and tells us that all the addresses are wrong. There must have been some kind of computer glitch. Rather than pull it, we retrieve all the literature from the post offices and decide to readdress and stamp them that Saturday for a Monday delivery. It's a lot of work, and it's going to cost a fortune, but we're not going to hold anything back. Not now.
Hey, hold on. Mr. Timmy, how you guys doing?
Who are you calling a munchkin?
Destination at 2. Hurry up. Yeah.
Because I can't find your brother.
The excitement here is quite palpable.
What's palpable?
The excitement. I just want to watch your work, Matt. Just want to watch your work, man. Only 10?
Are you really going to be watching this one day, Joe?
I hope so. Hey, Mom, how you doing? Get back natural. It's not on.
All day we work on that mailing, but it's worth it. The mail gets delivered on Monday. Just as Kronk said, Election Day arrives in almost no time. Phil arrives at the Shorewood Elementary School. I remember when we were kids, we used to play Little League Baseball there. His voting is newsworthy enough that it's covered by 2 TV stations and Newsday. He doesn't have to wait too long to vote, but he's not used to all the attention. He seems a little bit embarrassed by it. He plans to campaign afterwards, but has a change of heart.
Yeah, you know what? I don't get the right vibe. You look desperate. Yeah, sort of.
You agree, right?
You're not desperate?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This thing's over.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much over. Votes are still getting cast, though. What's that, Phil?
You heard me. I hope you got it on camera.
Were you down there when he voted this morning?
Yes.
Because I heard he had a media contingent.
I think he was a little overwhelmed by it. He didn't know what to do. You know, he just kind of...
To keep Phil busy, we send him out to put up lawn signs.
No, yeah, he's out putting up lawn signs. So that's what he's doing. There's a number of people that we may have to drive to the polls.
Comac Road? Okay. That's the northern border of it.
Joe has a lot of confidence.
It's going as well as we could have possibly imagined. The Republicans are despairing. The Republican polls have Phil winning by 10 points, and that's just about right.
But as always, there are complications.
The state has ordered all of the absentee ballots impounded, so if anybody wins by less than 500 votes, in theory, you have to hold your breath for a week.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Yes,
What are you doing? You got it going? You look like a winner today,
Yes,
right?
we are. Looks very promising. Yeah.
I go to see how Mom and Dad are doing. To make sure his vote got counted, Dad voted by absentee ballot. Mom still has to go down to the polls.
Oh, I hope he makes it this time. I have to vote.
Oh, you have to vote?
Yeah.
What's your feeling?
You're gonna win.
Yeah? All right, Dad. See you in a bit. Be safe. Take your time. Watch where you're going. See you later, Mom.
Dad always had a feeling we could win. I hoped he was right this time. Headquarters was buzzing. The street campaign promised by Labor has definitely been delivered.
We like to do phones. We have phones. Nice warm phone back with the IBW.
Just make sure you're all squared away.
It's been a hell of a campaign.
I can't believe that they stopped it.
There's a concern about the weather. It's an article of faith that rain
No, I
dampens
stopped.
Democratic turnout.
It's pouring in this.
Yeah, that's probably worrying.
It holds off for a while.
Yeah.
See you later, Mike. Good luck.
This is the hour I hate the most.
As evening falls, headquarters empties. At this hour, there's nothing left to do but wait until the votes are counted. And then there are those that make sure they're counted fairly.
Basically, for the record, the attorneys are looking for 2 basic things: polling place open on time, did the machines break down, did the electricity go off. The other aspects are a little more subtle, but that would be what we would call voter suppression, voter discrimination, voter intimidation.
Yeah.
But the point is, you send somebody out there, even if it's perfectly legal, it tells the Republican inspectors, these guys mean business.
Yeah.
Mom gives a thumbs up, but I can tell she's nervous.
Hey, Joe.
Now we just wait.
The 3 Republican poll watchers just kind of disappeared before I even finished.
Hello, Joseph.
Gonna do it. This here is Jimmy Mansberger. He'll say that he is the best bagpiper that we have. That's debatable.
The crowd begins building at the Huntington Marriott Hotel. We have a feed from the Board of Elections, so we'll be able to see how we're doing as the night progresses. I have a deep-seated fear that the Republicans will be able to pull victory out of their mess. But then, the early votes are good.
Nolan's up.
But it's very early, and only a few % of the votes are in. As I feared, and as the night wears on, Phil's earlier lead starts to decrease. I fear that the momentum is shifting toward Pam. I envision some diabolical Republican SWAT team sweeping in to fix the broken election. I'm getting more worried by the minute, but Joe remains confident with the news crew.
8 to 10 points is what we hope for, and 8 to 10 points is what we've seen so far.
This seems to be the consensus view, but I can't shake my doubt. I guess the Republicans have beaten us too many times. By the time my brother George and Debbie arrive, the bagpipers are entering. Dad always said he loved the pipers, but they always overstayed their welcome by 2 or 3 songs. By the time the dignitaries begin filling the stage, I wonder why Phil isn't there as well. I can think of only one reason why he's missing. They've skunked us one last time, and he just can't face us. I'm looking all over for Phil, and finally spot him backstage. The minute I see him, my fear is dispelled. No doubt, that's the demeanor of a winner. Later, Phil told me he saw me too, and he thought I looked like I was gonna cry. I almost did.
I think I'm ready to declare. I want to bring up Supervisor-elect for the town of Islip, Phil Nolan.
It is a night to celebrate, isn't it? I think we have an end tonight to one-party rule in the town of Islip. I want to thank a few people. My wife Lisa, a county chairman named Rich Schaefer. That is, and I really look forward to working with our great county executive Steve Levy. I just spotted my mother. Come on.
Mom looks quite relieved, doesn't she?
My father, he's sitting at home tonight. This guy was the loyal opposition more than any other man or woman in that township for the last 45 years. He never relented. Thank you. Yeah, give him a hand. It all goes back to my mom and dad.
It really was too bad that he couldn't make it to this.
I also had a great advantage in this campaign in having a new town chairman named Ivan Young. Joe DeVinson, where are you? I owe him a debt I could never possibly repay. My brother George Nolan, Debbie Pfeiffer was in that headquarters. Steve Hicks is standing right there. My sister Margaret, my brother Joe, my brother Matty, Frank Pinto, Ricky Baker, Mr. Irwin, Joe Weiss, Gene Harrington, Francine, Fiore, Madge from CBC Media. Give him a round of applause, our new supervisor, Phil Nolan.
I'm so happy!
Very good. Big knife. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, right, come here. No problem. Thank you, bud.
They did?
Very good.
Oh man, I'm so happy for the whole family.
Phil was never the touchy-feely type, but he is on this night.
That's a great.
Congratulations, Phil.
Oh, bro!
Who would have thought it, huh? Hey, Joe.
George summed up the night quite succinctly.
Well, there's very few nights in life that are as good as this one, you know?
He really went under 50, so it was pretty certain from the beginning.
It was only about a 40% turnout. Yeah.
The very next day, interim supervisor Eric Hoffmeister invites Phil to town hall for a chat. I remember when Phil and I were kids, we used to bicycle down here to buy our beach passes. I think they cost 35 cents back then.
That's pretty much the direction of my administration. I'll be up in the supervisor's office. You coming in?
Yeah, just follow you.
Okay.
It hadn't occurred to me that in addition to all his other responsibilities, Phil would also have a police force reporting to him. What a long path it was that led to this flight of stairs. I was delighted to watch him climb them as supervisor-elect. Afterwards, I drove over to visit Mom and Dad.
So you slept through the whole thing, huh? That's a shame.
Oh, he did. He slept, but then John took me home. So we go and he's sitting in here.
Oh, yeah?
He didn't know that Philip won, because he just woke up.
You were sure he was going to win? I
predicted it, so.
I didn't think it would be that close.
Was it a satisfying win for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had nothing to do with it at all. I told Maddie and Georgie and...
Well, a lot to do with it.
And they did it.
They keep saying, what's the other guy who was a supervisor?
Hang on.
Democrat. Yeah, but he was not a Democrat.
No, he was an independent.
And the truth of the matter is, Phil is the first Democrat elected to the supervisor's position.
I remember Dad always talking about Kalakis would be down there in his boots.
Oh, cement shoes.
Yeah, okay. Cement shoes.
I see flashes of that old light in his eyes. We just don't see that enough these days.
Yeah, you'll be interested when you see the tape of how Phil honored Mom last night.
And Dad, of course.
And well, leading up to that, I can't say everything all at once. And of course, Dad, you were also called out for special
Thank you.
I can't believe how many defeats we went through, right? You don't know how to act when you win.
What Dad would say next represented the bedrock of his personal ethics and was advice we'd received our entire lives.
Just tell him to stay honest.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's gonna stay.
That's the one. That
I don't think that's any question. He's not.
Well, you tell him.
Yeah. No, I think he will, Dad.
I think he's on the up and up.
He will. He'll stay honest.
The day that Phil's going to get sworn in is absolutely beautiful. Mom looks great, but she vents a little about the way the Republicans treated Phil at a council meeting.
He went to the public meeting. They didn't even acknowledge him.
So what do you think of the article in today's paper?
Did you read it?
Yeah, where'd they get that picture of Phil?
He has to suffer because of the Board of Elections.
Phil was supposed to assume office right away, but an error by the Board of Elections might keep him from assuming the job until January the 1st.
You didn't hear about this? The way they wrote the election, the Hofmeister could actually serve out for the rest of the year. So he has to resign, and then they have to appoint Phil.
Is Hofmeister gonna do it or no?
I think he is. Matt doesn't trust the Republicans to do the right thing. As it turns out, they will. Dad looks pretty good. We reminisce a little bit before we head off to Town Hall.
You know what I was thinking when I was coming up here? I was out in front of the house. I remember we were out there, and Epsky came down. We were just moving in, and he said, you know, if you want anything in this town, make sure you register as Republican. You wrote him off.
We talked Dad into using a wheelchair, promising that we'd bring him in the back way and no one would see.
Go. How's everything going?
Everything's good. It's a great day.
Yeah, it's a great day. It's right.
Bill and Patty
Okay.
It was great that the local news crews made Mom and Dad a big part of the story. I was so proud of them.
Just that it's a wonderful day. Very proud. He's the man for the job.
My brother Matt catches some great video of our parents.
Right. Magnificent day.
The history of what's going on here. No comment? Okay. He's got no comment right now.
And the only footage of me.
Who would have ever thought that Phil Nolan would be getting sworn in as Islip Town Supervisor?
One thing is for sure, there never have been so many Democrats in this room. When Phil first enters, it was a little uncomfortable. The Islip Republicans have no experience with losing, and they don't know how to act. But then somebody started clapping. And the room just exploded.
You folks must be so incredibly proud.
Chuck Schumer couldn't be here, so he asked me to steal your thunder.
This is the first time I'm in this room where I haven't gotten verbally assaulted by Pete McGowan. This is a board that is going to be working very cooperatively. It will be between the town and the county as well. So let's give it up for our new supervisor, Phil Nolan. Is going to come down here. Now, Phil, you get down there and I'm on the stoop. Oh, they got it. I, Phil Nolan, do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear, to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, supervisor.
Welcome to Town Hall and the beginning of a new era.
Before the meeting, Phil told me that he wasn't going to be shy about stating Islip's problems and what he was going to do about them.
My first priority in office is going to be to restore confidence in town government. I will be working hard to enact new ethics reforms. We need to hire new professional management at MacArthur Airport, and we need to do that in 2007. I cannot achieve any of this or even undertake any of this without the town board. We do not share a party affiliation. We share a commitment to public service. You know, there's an old saying in politics that if you want a friend, you need to get a dog. But in reality, I have been blessed with many great friends. Those friendships mean everything to me, and I will never forget that, and I thank each and every one of you that are in the room today. I've been blessed with a family that gave me the love and support I needed to carry on long after any sane person would have quit. My wife, Lisa, my sons, Patrick and Kevin, and of course, my mother and father. Thank you very, very, very much. I want to thank all of you for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
After the ceremony, somebody gets the idea to bring Dad into the supervisor's office. As soon as we get there, it's suggested that he sit behind the supervisor's desk, and I'm surprised when he agrees. At first I thought this was a little corny, but I changed my mind when I see how much he seems to be enjoying it.
Wouldn't have been possible without you. You got this whole thing started.
Well, I didn't do anything this year. They did everything right, though. He did everything right.
Yeah. Okay.
Good to see you. All right.
I'll leave you alone for 5 minutes and he's taking over already.
Closer.
Yeah, closer.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a fit. It looks like it fits well.
I thought enough you were laughing or crying.
Laughing.
Attaboy.
As I assembled this documentary, the theme that kept occurring to me was the power that comes from never giving up. It's something you hear people say they'll do, but most people aren't up to it. And I can't blame them. After chasing our dreams for a while, we start realizing we're not going to catch up to them. So we lower our sights, which is a nice way of saying we quit. In fact, most people frown on those that won't quit. The singer that doesn't have a plan B, the baseball player that stays in the minors until he's 35, or the writer that keeps working on his novel. After a certain amount of time, these people start looking like fools that can't accept the reality of their own failure. To some people, it's not that they can't accept it, it's that they won't. Never quitting is an extreme position, but with it comes a power. Your opponents know that if you're willing to always get up off the canvas and go another round with them, and another round after that, then there's always a chance, however small, that you'll beat them. Like we did.
I wish I was secure. We can't stay here for long. It won't be long until we're heading out down before we throw into the past, until the traffic comes.